Hello everyone. My name is Dr. Mohammad Azam. I'm working as assistant professor in Agriculture University, Rawalpindi, and I'm very thankful to Professor Dr. Jian Ling for inviting me here on this forum just to present about the drought in Pakistan. So today the topic of my discussion, because I have only just like 5 or 7 minutes, so I have to be quick in the presentation. So now moving towards my topic, a review of the drought. The topic of my discussion is about the review of drought risks and its impacts in Pakistan. So overall, in this presentation, I will discuss about the drought situation and how the Pakistan is impacting because of the drought. So these are the contents which I am going to discuss in this presentation. First of all, I will introduce about the different drought types, and then I will go for the drought causes and history in Pakistan, because Pakistan, of course, been affected by the drought for a long time. So that's why I will discuss a little about the history, and then I will try to trace the reasons and causes of the droughts in Pakistan. Then I will discuss about the methods available for the drought to analyze the drought situation and topographical maps. And in the end, I will discuss about the drought hazards and how the Balochistan been identified as a drought affected areas in Pakistan. Then I will discuss about the conclusion. So in introduction, there I have introduced three types of droughts. First is a meteorological drought, which is actually because of lack of rainfall. If you do not have rainfall for a sufficient longer period of time, then you are going to have this meteorological drought. And then you have the hydrological drought. Ultimately, if you don't have the rainfall, then you don't have the water for the streams, for the rivers, for the ground, or for underground aquifers. Then ultimately you are going to face the hydrological drought. So what I can say is meteorological drought is directly linked with the hydrological drought. And then you have the agricultural droughts that impact, that is actually the drying of agriculture. Like if you do not have the water to feed the crops, then ultimately you are going to have the agriculture droughts. So all three types of droughts are interlinked with each other, and they have huge impacts over the economy, over the agriculture in Pakistan. So if you overall categorize all three of them, then you can say that all three of them existed only because of the lack of rainfall in Pakistan. So here are the few pictures I have from the Balochistan area, because Balochistan is the area which have been affected previously very badly by the drought situation because of lack of rainfall. That's how the people just try to get the water while having inline. And then previously there was having one place in the village where they can go and where they can pump water, and they can fill water into their cans and bring to the home, and then drink whole day, one day or two, and then again they go back to refill that water. So that's why, because of the lack of transportation in Balochistan, the people are facing such kind of troubles. And then overall, if you look at the drought response system in Pakistan, so because drought have been is a phenomenon that has been occurring frequently in Pakistan. So overall, if you look at the drought history, mostly severe droughts have been faced from 1998 to 2002, which is actually the worst in last 50 years. So according to the Economic Survey of Pakistan, the drought is one of the factors responsible for the poor growth performance. And recently the drought drought-like conditions have been prevailing since 2013, which have been impacted the livelihood and food security in the parts of Sindh and Balochistan, which is actually the most affected provinces in Pakistan. So particularly in the western, central, and southern districts of Balochistan, and southern and western districts of Sindh. In order to respond to this drought phenomena, we was having the funding since up to 2019. We have the 35 million funding, but we have available amount of funding is only 16.4 million. Around 47% of the funding is available. Rest of the funding is still in pipeline or is not available yet. And then we have the total affected population is around 5 million because of the drought. And then we have while living in that funding, we can cope only 42% of the population which have been affected by the drought. So coverage under each indicator, you can see that the overall 1.2 million is available for the livestock, and then 0.65 million is you can spend on it, but rest of the money is not available yet. And then you also have the cash assistance, which they have already given to the agriculture fields or the farmers in the form of inputs. And then they also have this the rehabilitation of irrigation infrastructures, which is actually very important to have the proper water source management on the farm. So these are the few facts and indicators which we have got from the economic survey of Pakistan, just to analyze the drought impacts and its responses and its funding available in Pakistan. And then in drought impacts, you have 1.91 million roundabout people have been affected, and 9.31 million affected livestock. Like overall, livestock is a most like worstly affected, especially in Balochistan. And then we have the farmers, agro-based livelihoods was badly affected. The situation got worse due to the poor farm management and lack of controlled cropping patterns in severely and moderately affected areas. And the crops have been reduced by 60 to 80% with a productivity loss of around 50%, which is a huge amount by the way. The agriculture and livestock sectors are the main components of provincial economy, and about 67% of labor force and account and 50% of our GDP being affected because of the droughts. And then we have the overall topographical situation in Pakistan. You can see that on the northern side we have the Tajikistan and China, and then we have the Afghanistan and India on the east and western side. And then we have the Arabian Sea on the southern side, and then we have the Iran as well. So overall, if you look at the elevation in meters, the elevation is very high in the top northern areas of Pakistan, while elevation is dropping rapidly while you move from the north to the southern side of Pakistan. So you can see the Sindh and Balochistan are relatively lowland areas in Pakistan. So that's why they are having the less probability of receiving high rainfall. By the northern areas, they have the higher elevation. That's why they are having the high probability of receiving more rainfall. So, anyways, this is the overall topographical situation in Pakistan. So if you look at the drought hazard index, you can see the overall the Balochistan area over here, in the southern side of Pakistan, which has been worstly affected by the drought, by the extreme and high droughts. And then you have the Sindh area, which is most of the area is affected by the high to moderate drought, while low and very low droughts situated in the northern side of Pakistan. So here, an drought hazard index indicate that the Balochistan is being worstly affected by the drought. So based on this, we have also the overall drought impacts chart, like how much is being affected to other sectors. So if you look at the chart on the left corner side, so because of the rainfall have been reduced around 74% in Balochistan. So around 85% of the livelihood losses have been happened in Balochistan, and then agriculture losses, livestock, non-availability of the food market, food inaccessibility, and low food consumption. These are the problems that have been raised because of the drought situation in Balochistan. And then we have the other nutrition factors, such as the underweighting of the people, like 38%, and you have the wasting 14%, and you have the stunting 48%. So overall hunger and food insecurity scenario shows that 84% are popping up from the drought, and 87% insecurity because of the drought. So these are the three types of droughts I have already discussed before. And then overall poverty incident is also available. So if you look at the overall picture, and then you can say that 75% of the population is being affected by the drought. Approximately 33% of the population migrated from the drought affected areas. Why? Because they don't have enough food to eat, so that's why they migrate. And 73% of the food prices have been increased. Why? Because they have to import food or other stuff from the other provinces. That's why, because of the increase in transportation cost, the ultimately led to the increase in the food prices. So overall drought condition, if you look at the impacts of droughts in Balochistan, so if you can see that just overall like 55% of the household, especially the cattles, have been died because of the unavailability of water. And then you have the buffaloes, and then the camels, and 43% of donkeys, and 68% poultry have been affected as well. So these are overall facts and figures that we extracted from the Economic Survey of Pakistan. So definitely we need to have the proper response system, which is very important. So if we have that much problems in different districts of Balochistan, then we have proper response system as well. So in federal and provincial governments, local and non-government organizations have been taking initiative in order to cope with this drought situation, in order to give them some relief. So the relief department of the government of Balochistan is distributing the wheat and food among the vulnerable households in selected areas. Then we have the organizations such as FAO, WFP, UNICEF, WHO, IOM are also implementing the drought responses in focus areas through Central Emergency Response Fund. And other funding sources also available. So FAO with the funding support from CERF, multi-year humanitarian program, and then FAO technical cooperation program also available. So they also initiated the drought response projects in Killa, Abdullah, Pishin, Nushki, and then they have Chagai districts. So moving to our next slide, this is the overall infrastructure that we have for the drought response. The coordination structure, the drought responses, then we have the strategic coordination forum, which is being co-chaired by the NDMA, which is National Disaster Management Authority in Pakistan, then UNRC and headquarters. So overall participants are the UN, government, and NGOs. These are the overall participants. And then you have the further subdivided overall sectors in terms of nutrition and in terms of health, in terms of wash and food security and education and working like the child protection working group. So these are the interconnected with each other. Then they combine all that information district wise. This situation and these are the districts which sorry sectors that existed only in Islamabad. So all have been connected with the other districts as well. So they interconnect with each other through inter-sector coordination, whose head office is located in Quetta and Karachi. So overall, these are the coordination committee. They have been that have been built it in the government level, which is actually chaired by the NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. So these are the overall responses that we have so far in Pakistan. And the drought situation in Sindh and Balochistan is rapidly developing. If we move towards conclusion, so worst disasters in Pakistan that is being done because of the droughts. So upland Balochistan and Sindh in the southern are the most heavily affected by the severe droughts, and these affected areas of Balochistan and Sindh have been prone to water shortage. Rainfall measured over the last few years have been reached at record low with minimum to sometimes no rainfall. So a major problem arises because of the lack of rainfall. And then PMD also have been alerting so many times about the severe to extreme drought-like conditions, especially in Balochistan provinces. And then you have the abrupt decline in rainfall in most of the upland areas of province that has caused a complete drying up to like the upper surface drinking water resources. Definitely, if you don't have the rainfall, then definitely you don't have water to store. So ultimately, you are going to have the droughts in the provinces. These are the overall conclusion. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much for inviting me on this forum, and thank you everyone.